What happens when I visit a Barnahus unit for an interview? Sometimes things happen in life that may lead children to visit a Barnahus unit for children and adolescents. The name of the place sounds tricky, but hopefully this video, in which I recall my own visit, will help you understand what the place is and what they do. One of the many units in Finland is located in Helsinki. The adults who work there help the police to find out what has happened to a child. For example, if they suspect that a child has experienced some form of violence or abuse. The staff working at the unit know how to help children tell their experiences accurately. At first, I was nervous about going to the unit, but that was eased when I noticed that the unit seemed like a nice and safe space for children and young people. I also noticed that the adults at the unit were used to talking to children and young people about all sorts of things. I met adults from different professions in the unit, such as the police, whose job is to investigate children's experiences and suspected crimes against children. The unit psychologist works alongside the police and helps children to describe their experiences in detail and accurately. You can also get help from a psychologist if your child's situation is very difficult. Sometimes children also see a psychiatrist, a doctor who specialises in children's well-being. The family social worker, together with a worker from the unit, will ensure that the child and the whole family receive support in difficult situations. It is important that the adults working in the unit talk to the child or the family. Together, they will help find out exactly what has happened. They are also experienced in talking to children in a way that makes it easier for the child. Adults working in the unit write statements to the police about issues raised in discussion with the child or adolescent. These statements are also intended to help other adults understand how a child's experiences may affect their life. When we arrived at the unit, we spent some time in the waiting room, where children can draw, play with toys, and look at books if they want to. The police and psychologist came to see me and my mother. After this, I went with the psychologist to the interviewing room, and my mother stayed in the waiting room and talked to the social worker for a while. I spoke to the psychologist alone. In the interviewing room, the psychologist told me how our conversation would proceed. The psychologist explained things in a way that I could understand. The police and other adults I met watched our conversation from another room via a video camera. First, we talked about school and my football hobby. After that, the psychologist gave me some guidelines for the conversation, and then we practiced on how to tell things accurately. I didn't want to talk about some things at all, but I knew that it was important so that adults could better understand what happened to me and help me. It was easier to talk about the difficult things after we had first talked about other things with the psychologist. Taking breaks and being able to tell things at my own pace made it easier. I also did not have to talk about things that I did not want to talk about. The psychologist helped me by asking me some questions, and soon the conversation was over, and the psychologist thanked me for coming and for telling her about what was going on. After the interview, the adults told me and my mother what would happen next to sort out my case. Being informed about the next steps made us both feel better. My mother and I were told where we could go for help if we needed it. Although some of the things were difficult to talk about, I still felt good about my visit at the Barnahus unit. After leaving the unit, I was already looking forward to playing football with my friends.